Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Aisha Khatib, a licensed psychologist, and today we're going to be speaking about how personal growth affects behavior change. This is a 3-part series, and today is the first part of the series, which is how self-confidence and self-esteem affects behavior change. Bismillah, let's start. When you picture somebody with self-esteem or self-confidence, with a high self-esteem or high self-confidence, I'm sure you see somebody who has a straight posture, somebody who strides majestically, somebody who looks people in the eye when they're speaking, somebody who knows how to address people in the public. That is what comes into our minds when we think of somebody with high self-esteem and high self-confidence. In a study, it shows that worldwide, the main cause of illnesses or an incapability is depression. And one of the main reasons of depression is low self-confidence and low self-esteem. The relationship that we have with ourselves is one of the most important relationships in our lives. As a Muslim, the relationship we have with Allah, then the relationship we have with ourselves are the most important relationships. And when we have low self-confidence and low self-esteem, we have a fracture in that relationship. So, what exactly is self-esteem and what exactly is self-confidence, and what is the difference between the two? Self-esteem is your self-view, the concept you have of yourself. It is how you think of yourself, the self-love that you nurture within yourself, how you value yourself, and how you see yourself as worthy. Essentially, it is just how you think of yourself. Esther Perez says that self-esteem is the ability to view yourself as flawed and still hold yourself in high regards. That being said, we could have high self-esteem, but we derive it from a false source, meaning that we have false self-esteem. A false self-esteem is when you derive your self-esteem from external factors, from surface level factors such as your appearance, what you own, your status in the society. This is unhealthy because when these things fade away, for example, if your beauty fades away because of old age, or all your wealth disappears because of a bad business decision, you feel like you are left with nothing, and you feel like you are nothing because your self-esteem was based on those external factors. Okay? We have already seen what self-esteem is, so let's move to self-confidence. I feel like self-confidence is easier to manage and is easier to increase than self-esteem, because as we have seen, self-esteem entails a lot of internal work. You must create and nurture how you think of yourself in a positive way, and this is hard. This is harder than self-confidence. So let's look at what self-confidence is. Self-confidence is the ability to believe in yourself, to believe in your abilities and your capability. For example, I could say, I am good at cooking. These are skills, this is an ability. It doesn't necessarily mean that I love myself to be able to say that I am confident in cooking. I could be confident in cooking, but I may not be confident in riding a car. So self-confidence can be created and increased by learning a skill. And once you get better at something, you become more self-confident. Okay? So the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence is that self-confidence is based on your ability to do certain things, and you can get better at them with time. Because when you practice something so many times, you get better at it, and hence you become more self-confident in it. This is the difference between self-esteem and self-confidence. One could have high self-confidence and lack self-esteem. For example, I could be good at addressing people in public speaking, but I do not feel like I am worthy within myself. So this means that I have low self-esteem, but I have a lot of confidence. The most important thing is to have self-esteem, which will make you be able to create, which will be able to make you to increase your self-confidence. Because if you internally think that you are worthy, you are somebody who has value, somebody worth loving, you will take yourself through the hardships of learning skills. You will be able to take yourself through the hardships of learning and relearning, and ultimately you will become somebody who has high confidence. So let's look at what makes somebody have low self-esteem. This reason could stem from your childhood and up to adulthood. There's so many reasons. Let me start stating them one by one. One of the reasons from childhood is when you are neglected or abused as a child. And we should be careful for those of us who are parents so that we do not do this to our children. When we abuse our children emotionally and physically, for example, when we are always calling our children stupid, or in Kiswahili we say wewe ni ng'ombe. When you are a child, you are always being told that you are a cow, wewe ni ng'ombe, or you are stupid, and you grow up to being grow into an adult who always thinks they're stupid no matter how smart they are. Another reason in childhood is when you lacked support from your parents. In school, the reasons that bring about low self-esteem is if you were bullied at school and a solution to that problem wasn't brought about. Another reason is if you performed poorly, and we know that comes with a lot of social stigma. People view you. I just imagine the person who performed last in your class. How are they viewed by everyone else? They were seen as this stupid person who was just there to sit in class. So if you performed poorly, you might have low self-esteem because how the people around you saw you and the lack of encouragement. When you're an adult, the reasons that bring about low self-esteem is major life problems such as divorce or rejection. Another reason is loss of jobs, lack of employment, and this makes somebody question their self-worth and feel like they have no value in the society. Another reason is when you contract a chronic illness like cancer, or you get illnesses like a high blood pressure or diabetes, especially if one is struggling financially to get through these diseases, it can bring about bouts of low self-esteem. How then can we combat low self-esteem and low self-confidence? What can we do so that we can have high self-esteem and high self-confidence? And that is very important as individuals to prevent us from falling into depression and to prevent us from being sad individuals in the society or feeling incapable and helpless. What can make us have high self-esteem and self-confidence? One thing that will make us have high self-esteem as Muslim is to make dua and to fix our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As doubtful as it sounds, it is so connected to how we view ourselves, the religion. If you think of it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He has created us in the best of form. When you think of this as a Muslim and you have low self-esteem, this can help because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you specifically that He created you in the best of form, meaning that you are worthy. Another reason is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose you specifically as a Khalifa to present Him on this earth. He sent you here as a representative. Would He send somebody who is unworthy or somebody who doesn't have value? Of course, you have value and you are worthy as a Muslim. So remembering these things and making dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you through this will make you go a step ahead. Another way to create high self-confidence and high self-esteem is self-nurturing yourself, having compassion towards yourself. If a beloved, picture this, if a beloved friend comes to you with a problem, how do you approach them? And how would you approach yourself in the same situation? If a friend comes to you and tells you, I'm so sad because this happened to me, you would comfort them and do everything in your power to make them feel good. But if when you have problems, you're going through negative emotions such as anger or sadness, how do you treat yourself through those emotions? You tell yourself negative things, and this is very wrong of ourselves. We should treat ourselves how we treat others, with kindness, love, and compassion. So another reason to elevate your esteem and confidence is by nurturing yourself, having compassion towards yourself, just like how you'd have compassion for others. Another way is to nurture your self-love. When we talk about self-love, now we think of luxurious spas, we think of luxurious holidays. It can mean something as simple as respecting yourself. Do you respect yourself the way you respect others? When you are at home, do you dress like you're homeless when you're going somewhere? Or do you wait for people when you're not going anywhere, or do you wait for people to come so that you dress well in your house? Do you serve yourself in a beautiful plate, or do you serve yourself in a shabby looking plate and serve others in beautiful plates? Small things like those. Do you respect yourself just like you respect others? When you do this, this will elevate your esteem and confidence. Another way to elevate your esteem and confidence is forgiving yourself. When others do mistakes, you forgive them. When your loved ones do mistakes, you forgive them. What about yourself? Do you forgive yourself when you have a blunder at work? Do you forgive yourself when you forget things? Do you forgive yourself when you wrong others? Because you cannot give what you do not have. Forgiveness has to come from you first. It also affects how you expect forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You need to forgive yourself first, then seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Only then would you be able to have the confidence and the belief that Allah will forgive you, when you forgive yourself and you accept yourself the way you are. Another way to boost your esteem and confidence is surrounding yourself with supportive people. Don't be friends with people who bring you down all the time, who are telling you negative things about yourself. You need people who will encourage you, who will be compassionate towards you, because you're already trying that. You're already trying to be compassionate towards yourself. So you need people who will be compassionate towards you, who will encourage you and love you. That is the only way you can move a step ahead towards building a high self-esteem and self-confidence. And lastly, it's doing what you love. Sometimes we get lost as adults due to a lot of responsibilities, and we forget who we really are. You might ask somebody what they love doing and say that don't know anymore. So if you're a 50-year-old individual and you love to play football, go back to the playing field. If you're a mother of 6 and you used to love reading, you used to love going to spend time with friends, go do that. Do things which you love, and this will boost your esteem and confidence. So we have already seen we have already understood what self-esteem and self-confidence is, the difference between the two, what is more important to have, what we can do to increase our confidence and esteem. And when we do that, we can change the relationships that we have with ourselves, the relationship we have with Allah, and the relationship we have with others. Having high self-confidence and esteem affects how we behave with others in a very positive way. I'm sure you can all attest to engaging with somebody who has high self-esteem as opposed to somebody who has low self-confidence and low self-esteem. That being said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you on the next episode.